Have you ever made a decision that seemed wise at first, but then over time, as things changed in your life, didn't seem so good?
Yes, getting baptized as a Jehovah's Witness.
Maybe you felt, I'll be a failure if I leave this assignment. Remember, our primary concern must be to make sure that our life course continues to honor God. Have the courage to consider making a change if your circumstances have changed.
Well, that's exactly what happened. My circumstances changed in that I realized I was in a cult, and I courageously made the change of leaving the cult.
Greg and Joren Harris raised their children to love Jehovah. What decisions did they make along the way?
When a person makes a sacrifice, they give up something for something that they consider is of higher value. What kind of a price tag can you put on your child's love for Jehovah? What kind of a price tag can you put on serving Jehovah whole souled as a family?
$0, 0 cents, I guess, would be my price tag. In fact, it would be a minus value. It would be a deficit. You don't earn something as a result of being indoctrinated from childhood into Jehovah's Witnesses. It's not something where you gain anything of value. It actually is detrimental to you. We're watching, by the way, the testimony of Greg and Joren Harris in the April 2023 JW Broadcasting episode, which has been all about making wise decisions. It's not really a decision if you're a Jehovah's Witness parent when it comes to raising your children as believers. It's just something you're expected to do. And what's interesting about this particular couple's testimony is it shows the extremes that Jehovah's Witness parents are expected to go to in order to make sure their children stay the course as believers.
My dad, he gave me all I needed. He loved me so much. I would take my mother's knitting yarn and I would tie it to his door handle after he went to sleep. And I would run it across the hall to my bedroom and tie it to my big toe so that when he opened his door in the morning, I would wake up and I could be with him. That love that I had for my dad, I wanted them to love Jehovah that much. I wanted a string tied around their hearts right to Jehovah so that he was the one motivating them and he was the one waking them up spiritually every day.
It's just blatant manipulation, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure all of this is true, by the way. I'm sure Greg Harris isn't lying when he's telling this touching story about yarn or spinning a yarn. I don't think he's spinning a yarn. I think it's a genuine story about yarn. It's a yarn-related yarn. But I think this happened. It's just that it's so clearly emotional propaganda because you have this sentimental piano music playing in the background. And the objective, as always, is to string the viewer along emotionally so that they don't have to think about any of this. Because when you do start to think about it, like yarn, it quickly unravels. So his analogy is of him tying himself to his dad with yarn so that they would wake up at the same time. The analogy breaks down because it was his decision to tie yarn between him and his dad. It would be a bit weirder if it was his dad who was tying his toe to his dad's toe. That would be weird, wouldn't it? And that's actually what he's describing there. He wanted to tie effectively some kind of yarn or bond around his children's hearts. So it's switched, hasn't it, between the child initiating it and the parent initiating it. So the analogy actually doesn't work. But you don't have time to think about that when you're a Jehovah's Witness. You're too busy feeling all warm and mushy inside due to the sentimental piano music and the touching story about a guy who really loved his dad.